Alrighty, guys, welcome to Pass Me the Rock. It is the 26th of April. We are a long ways into 2021. I gotta say, It's been kind of flying by. It's been a while since we've been back in the booth.
Yeah,
I think. Do we want to address that real quick? You had something you want to kind of air out on air?
No.
Well, let's just say that sometimes cold take can happen, but we're happy to be back in the booth. What's up?
Oh, you were like peeking for a
peeking
second.
for a second. All right, I'll keep the mic a fist full away from my face. But anyways, we figured we'd bring in a very fun segment, a very fun bit of topics. We got about 12 of them, and what we're gonna do is a sort of pardon the interruption kind of show here, where we'll each have 2 minutes 30 seconds on one topic. There's about 12 of them, and we'll just kind of rifle off what we're thinking, and it'll be a very kind of fast paced, fun show. So you want to start it off? You want to get into it?
Start off with the topics, and then we'll.
All right, let's do it. All righty. Okay, so we got the timer here.
2 minutes, 30 seconds each.
2 minutes, 30 seconds.
12
of those. I'm going to try to prop the phone up here. Actually, you know what? Right there on the dashboard. That's nice. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay, first, we're on the clock. We've got UFC 261, the main event, Weidman versus Masvidal. I thought it was a terrific return. I thought it was a terrific main event. I think Masvidal, I thought it was funny. Some people on Wikipedia listed his death at that. I know I sent it to you on Instagram. They said they listed his death at the arena there. He got absolutely slept. I mean, it was a flash knockout. He was very humble in defeat, though, which I can always appreciate. Overall, Usman just continuing his dominant reign in the welterweight division. You love to see it, and you start to wonder if this puts him in the conversation. I'm sure he already is for one of the greatest welterweights of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun fight to watch. It was a fun event to view. But yeah, I mean, overall, like Masvidal's strategy kind of stunk. Like he was kind of just playing around the whole night, and that kind of that didn't go too well for him. But overall, it was fun. Usman won kind of like not how he usually does. He usually wins it on the ground, but he knocked him out this time. Like knocked him out clean too.
Very
that was
clean.
A clean knockout. The amount of sweat that flew off. And then the fact, like he went and limp, like he ended up hitting, like on the way down, like he bumped off of Usman.
Yeah.
Like
he got slept with an SH. Schlepped.
Yeah, it was something to behold. Now I think they said like that his next fight will be like what Colby Covington
2. Yes,
like
that's going to be a very interesting fight because I do think out of everyone that he's faced, Colby Covington has probably given him the toughest time.
Well, and obviously he hasn't really been challenged since then. Correct?
Yeah, and even with Colby, I mean, he finished him late in the fight. I mean, Colby had a broken jaw, but he really pushed him.
Yeah.
So I think having that second fight will be a great thing for both Usman and the fans to watch. And what did I want to say? I was looking back at the fight, right? And I understand that, he was kind of like Jorge was keeping his hands down. And obviously you never want to do that against a guy like Usman that's just so prolific on the ground or even prolific we saw on the feet. But I do think that it was not so much that he was kind of playing around or he was just keeping his hands down because he was getting too confident. I truly do believe that it was because it's the threat of the takedown. I mean, Colby Covington said it perfectly in the post-fight presser that they did. It's the threat of the takedown. And this fight, I mean, the threat was extremely present and Usman was able to play it to a T. And I think, he's going to be a huge problem. He's already been a huge problem, but he's going to continue his reign of terror.
And one last note, the crowd.
Oh, we got to keep going.
Crowd was electric.
Yeah, crowd was electric. All right, ready? Moving on to the next one. We've got UFC 261, the rest of the card. Now we have, obviously, the main event. Do we want to talk about Chris Weidman real quick?
I was going to say that leg.
We got to talk about it.
Yeah, that was like Joe Theismann, Gordon Hayward, Paul George, like all combined into one. The fact that like his leg just snaps and then like he doesn't even realize it until
he takes a step back.
Goosebumps just even like
it's
like something you can't unsee.
It's something you can't unsee, but it's also very spooky when you realize the fact that the exact same injury happened to Anderson Silva when Chris Weidman years earlier, back when he was still in title contention. The same thing happened. The same injury occurred. It was the exact same leg kick, the exact same injury, the exact same circumstance. Very spooky stuff. So obviously we wish Chris Weidman a speedy recovery. It's going to be about 8 weeks till he can even stand and walk again.
I'm surprised it's that quickly.
Yeah, and a lot of people I was watching Chael Sonnen, and he said he he suspects it will be about a year until he can get back in there in the ring. And
Again, I'm surprised
listen,
it'll be that quick.
well, yeah, with a guy like Chris Weidman where he is now, you have to question if this is going to be the end of his career. And I really hope it isn't, because he's honestly, I love him. He's an All-American, very accomplished wrestler, very accomplished kickboxer. I think he's a lot better than a lot of guys give him credit for, and I think he's a bad matchup for a lot of people. Obviously, this was a freak accident. You can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
As sad as it was. But the rest of the card as well, without getting too doom and gloom, was extremely fun to watch. A lot of talent on that card. Rose Namajunas getting Zhang Wei out of there with a incredibly clean
awesome
head kick.
Awesome
my goodness. A question mark kick for the ages. The old fake low, go high. I mean, it's kickboxing 101.
Yeah, between that and then also the other girl who just surgically
Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah, it was just the strategy behind it was unreal. Like, she was in control the entire fight. The other girl stood no chance.
Right.
No chance.
It
was just I mean, the card was awesome. It was knockouts galore. And it's exactly what you want when you buy a UFC card. Like, you want excitement. Like, you want to be like, whoa, it's not like boxing where it's like, it might like, I want to see somebody get knocked out.
Right. So, yeah. You're looking to get, it was the perfect, like, I think you put it greatly. It was the perfect cacophony of violence, the perfect card to have in Florida, and the perfect card to have fans back at.
Yeah.
And to ingratiate our friend Vince, who was watching along with us, because I suspect he'll be watching a lot more events now. On to the next one. Okay. We've got
2:30 on the dot.
I know, right? UFC 261, Jake Paul versus Daniel Cormier. They had a little bit of an interaction. We were actually talking about this in the room. I thought it was better that guys like Daniel Cormier, who don't really take that much mess from other people, go up and kind of confront Jake Paul. You kind of made the point that it's more like, yeah, Jake Paul wants that because he gets extra attention, extra clicks, which is true that the video was making the media rounds. I just tend to think, man, that there are certain people like Daniel Cormier that, as I said, it's fine when it comes to getting views and being on camera and all that. When it comes to being off camera and actually having real confrontations, I don't think Jake Paul is really that adept at handling that. And I thought that there will be more guys like that or like Daniel Cormier, where it's like, yeah, well, you can catch me on camera, you can talk all you want, but I'm going to have a real conversation with you. I'm going to catch you. And I'm necessarily not going to beat you up or anything, because, Daniel Cormier can't do that. You can't really do that these days without having a court case or someone suing you. But I think it's good that Jake Paul can be reminded that guys will not just, play internet tag with him, that there are actual people that will come up to you and say, listen, like, what Daniel Cormier said. He said, listen, if you keep talking that way, I'm going to smack you.
Right. But I think in the end, Jake Paul is the winner because, like you just said, like, his name's out there. And in the end, like, if Jake Paul gets beat up by an MMA fighter, like, I don't really think he cares. Like, he's not a real fighter.
Right.
Yet. But, I mean, he might be one day. But at this point, like, if Jake Paul, like, I don't think he cares. I think he'd rather just get his name out there. Like, the fact that UFC fans are chanting his name because of what he did in a celebrity boxing match last weekend, I think that shows that he's a total winner in all this, because he's getting his name out there. Like, Jake Paul isn't a month ago. Jake Paul isn't even relevant at a UFC event. Like, if he's there, then they might show him on camera. But the crowd's certainly not chanting his name. The fact that he's doing all these boxing matches means that fans are catching his name. He's catching the eyes of people. He's gaining more popularity, and ultimately, more money signs are flashing up. Like, he's adding more zeros to his bank account for all this.
No, yeah, 100%. And I don't think I'm arguing that point. I'm just saying, in terms of long-term, longevity, I think Jake Paul definitely wins. He gets money. I honestly don't. I'm starting to question whether or not he actually wants to be a real boxer at this point, or whether he's just collecting a check. But I'm just saying that it's good. I'm literally saying it's good for him that there are guys that will remind him that it's not just all about money, and that there's actual respect and honor on the line. Moving on. Wow, we're getting good. We're getting good at this as we go along. We've got the NBA. The Jazz clinch the first seed in the West.
Yeah,
just a dominant Jazz team this year.
Yeah, congrats to them. I think they have as good of a shot as they do every year, which is I think they have no shot at winning a title. So congrats to them, though. First to the playoffs, but
that's kind of the MO.
They're never going to beat any of the LA teams or Brooklyn.
It's unfortunate because Anthony Davis just came back, and you want to know when LeBron's going to come back, and that changes things. I mean, he's kind of always the gatekeeper of whatever conference he's in. But I will say, golf clap to this Jazz team for doing what they did this year. Donovan Mitchell for having the year that he has. Rudy Gobert for having the year that he's been having defensively. I mean, it's all kind of coming to Jordan Clarkson. All these guys, Mike Conley, a great facilitator for Donovan. I mean, it's this perfect team. And again, I have my suspicions come playoff time. We'll see how far they get. But it's one of the interesting components of this year's NBA, which I just love, because you never, I guess we all know that the Jazz are a playoff team and they have been in past years, but for a first seed, right there alongside the Suns, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like them and the Suns too, like they're both good teams that came up this year, and like I didn't really see it happening this way, but I mean, like
same with the Knicks in the fourth seed.
Right, a lot of injuries have gone down, a lot of like craziness and COVID has happened like over this year that's kind of created this environment, but like they've definitely earned it. Like they stayed healthy. Like, it's not their fault that everybody went down. They've earned it. They've been the most consistent, I'd say, consistent team in that conference for the whole season, and maybe even in the league for the whole season. I mean, they've kind of been wire to wire, like up there. I can't really think of any other team that's like kind of like
maybe the 76ers,
maybe
up
Philly,
in there.
But even they were kind of a little sloppy out of the gate. So
and they also had that skid where Dwight Howard was playing at point guard, so you can't really blame him.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, like I like the Jazz, but again, I just don't see it come playoff time, because I mean, I think a lot had to break in their direction for this to happen, but at the same time, they've earned it, and they're obviously a top 5 team in the West. Yeah, whether everybody's healthy or not. Like if everything went normal this year, if they finished below 5th in the West, like you'd look at it and be like, that's not a great year for them. So they've earned this, but come playoff time, like you said, I don't see it, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think
I would love to see the Jazz in the final.
Yeah, I think there's a good enough shot for them as there is maybe for anyone outside of LA. There we go. We actually hit the timer that time. All right, here we go. We've got the NBA MVP conversation. Got another 2 minutes 30 on the board. What are we thinking, Jerry?
Well, Steph Curry said yesterday that he should win it, but he won't win it. And I think that he's kind of 1,000% correct on that. Like the way I look at MVP is, and I know Jokic will probably win it, but the way I look at MVP is like people like it's the most valuable player. It's not player of the year. And I'm like, I look at it as it is kind of player of the year. It's the most valued player across the league. And this year, the most valued player across the league, I mean, it's tough to argue against Steph Curry. The only reason that team's even in the position they're in is because of him. He's dropping 30 to 40 every night. I think in April, if you took only the month of April and not the rest of his career, he already set the NBA record for most like 10-3 games. Like the fact that
he's averaging numbers that he was in his past MVP seasons as well.
Right. He's been better. So, again, like he's hitting threes everywhere. I think in terms of value, he is the most valuable player because the Warriors are nowhere near where they would be with
100%.
And when you look at a team like the Nuggets with Jokic, that team's probably still a playoff team if he's not there. I mean, fringe, like 8-9 seed, not where they are right now near the top. And maybe they're not a playoff team, but what I'm saying is the Warriors without Curry are far worse than the Nuggets without Jokic, because the Nuggets without Jokic, they still have Murray. They still have Aaron Gordon. They still have Michael Porter Jr.
Tons of scoring.
Those three would easily be the second best player on the Warriors right now.
Yeah,
easily.
I think there's a lot of attractive cases you can make for a lot of people. That's the thing I like about the MVP race this year is that there's so many different ways you can look at it, right? If you want to look at the best player on the best team that makes that team the best, you have guys like Joel Embiid.
I was going to say, what about Embiid? Embiid's
like that was my personal front runner. He got injured, and of course, then he shoots down to number 5 on everyone's boards for the MVP. And he's kind of come back now, and he's climbing up again. You have guys like you said, Jokic, that's just making a hell of an impact. You have guys like Steph Curry that have been going insane, elevating their team. While the Warriors aren't the best team, he certainly has been elevating them to the point of insaneness. Who else do you have? You have Giannis, Harden. It's obviously Harden's out now.
Harden's kind of taking himself out of the race now with this.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. But yeah, there's just so many talented guys that have so many different cases for them. It's personally for me one of the more exciting MVP races I've seen.
Well, plus not only that, with the amount of injuries, you don't even see guys like LeBron in it anymore. So LeBron, Durant, Harden.
He was top 3 at one point. LeBron was top 3. Oh, all right, we got to keep going here. We've got the Brooklyn Big 3 still keeping it with NBA. What are we thinking?
Well, I know they said the other day that Steve Nash said he'd like a runway for them to play together, but it's probably not going to happen before playoff time. Kevin Durant's kind of been iffy the whole year. Kyrie's been flaky the whole year in terms of his commitment.
Yes.
Harden's been injured for the last couple of weeks. Does it matter? Like they're gonna get their gelling back, because they're going to be the 1 or 2 seed anyways. They're going to face. They have room to play around. They're going to face I don't know, I don't even know. Like the 7th seed I know is Miami, and the 8th seed I don't know who it is today, but like those are two. it's teams that they're going to roll over.
Yeah, and I also, it's interesting because for the longest time I was saying I want to see this big three play together, and it seems like we haven't, outside of 7-8 games this year.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen them gel together. But self-proclaimed, I don't think it matters anymore. Like, because Kevin Durant just came back, and him and Kyrie are both had 30 pieces a couple nights. So obviously Harden was very important to that team because he kind of took on more of that facilitator role, just playing some of the best facilitating basketball of his career. It's like you put one in, you take one out. It doesn't seem to really matter. And this Brooklyn Nets team has been very, very consistent. Mm-hmm. Now, with Harden out, that might present some problems. I don't know. I think he was kind of the backbone because at the beginning, I don't know if you remember the beginning of the season, the Nets were kind of struggling with playing cohesive ball a little bit. I think Harden coming in the way he did may have helped that a little bit. So I'm interested to see where this takes the team, because now I think that obviously they're going to have a more, they did before, but they're going to have a more scoring, ISO heavy offense than necessarily they did with Harden on the floor, where, Harden could get it to an open guy like Blake Griffin on the perimeter. And obviously they lost LaMarcus Aldridge when he just up and retired. So I want to see what this Nets team does, but I think they'll still roll through, and I think they still maintain that level of dominance they have in the East.
I've got the potential playing teams right here. So
okay.
Tied at 6 and 7 is the Celtics and Miami. They're both 32 and 29. The Celtics are the tiebreaker on 6. So 7th is Miami.
Okay.
8th is Charlotte.
Right.
9 is Indy. 10 is Washington. And then 2 games back of Washington, and 11 is Chicago. So figuring 7, 8, 9, 10, those are your playing teams. So 2 of those teams are going to make it. Brooklyn's probably going to play one of those. Miami, Charlotte, Indy, Washington, maybe Boston.
Yeah.
Does any of those teams, do you see any of them beating Brooklyn over the course of 7?
No, not over the course of 7. I was going to say
they win one game.
But yeah, I was going to say Miami is very talented defensive. Oh, all right. We got to move on here.
Well, Miami is talented defensively, but no.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. All right. Here we go. Moving on to MLB. We've got Fernando Tatis Jr. and Trevor Bauer. That whole kind of exchange that happened there, and what a lot of people perceive to be Fernando Tatis Jr. checking a pitch before hitting an absolute bomb.
So yeah, to explain the situation, Fernando Tatis hit 2 bombs off Trevor Bauer and Clayton Kershaw on consecutive nights.
Right.
With the second bomb off Bauer, he showed him up a little bit. Bauer said he was fine with that.
Pumping his chest around, going around the bases. Yeah.
Bauer said he was fine with that. Love or hate Trevor Bauer, I personally don't like him, but love him or hate him, he does back up what he says. Like, says, like, he's all for that. He wants showboating, whatever.
We need that in the sport.
I totally agree with him.
Yeah,
it's exciting. It's whatever. He said that was fine. The only problem that he took issue with is if you look at the video closely, it does look like Fernando Tatis peeked at the signs.
Yep. Which is a big no-no.
That's a big no-no.
Very big no-no.
You're going to get yourself drilled if you do that.
Yeah.
And I think The Athletic came out with an article today saying that they asked a few articles. They came out with it like 20 minutes before the show.
Right.
And they said they spoke to a few catchers who said he might have been peaking, he might not have been, but if he was peaking, that's number one on the catcher to take control of the situation, like call it off,
right,
and redo it, and say to the guy like, hey, if you peak again, I'm gonna have you drilled.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, that's definitely a no-no. The bat flipping and showboating, though, I'm fine with.
Well, listen, here's the thing, right? And I'll get into the we have a minute here. I'll get into the pitch checking itself. I think showboating, like I just said, is great for the sport.
What you need.
You need, because obviously the MLB struggles with marketing its athletes somewhat. I think if you have more guys talking that talk and backing it up, MLB is going to be a much better place. Now, I will say about the check of the pitch, I do really, I mean, you see he like looks down, the catcher kind of gives him a little bit like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, dude, I'm looking at the ground, and then he absolutely walks one. It just, obviously there's an honor code to baseball. And I mean, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to realize that that's breaking the code. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the situation. I don't think he should have checked the pitch. Obviously, when you're going up against a guy like Trevor Bauer, I'd imagine you need to take every advantage you can get. But still, I mean, it's dirty. It's scummy.
Yeah, it is. And just one last note on that. Like, I'm fine with the showboating, whatever. This series this weekend and last weekend, they've played 7 games so far this season. It's 4-3 Padres. They still have 12 more left. The series as a whole has been electric. All 7 games have had a playoff type feel, including last night's 7-1. Padres came back and win. Awesome stuff.
Nice. That was a very tight segment right there. Okay, ready? We've got the upcoming game we're going to on Wednesday.
Yes.
The Mets versus Sox game. We wanted to include this. We're both very excited for this. I guess we get our predictions in, how we feel about it. Do you mind if I start this one off? Obviously, I'm a big Mets fan. I'm ready to see, the likes of DeGrom's pitching that
Yep.
night, right? DeGrom, I'm ready to see the likes of Lindor suited up in the orange and blue. I mean, this is the most exciting Mets team I've seen in a while. I wonder, though, I was talking to my mother about this, if we're going to still retain that same kind of small market team feeling when you arrive at the stadium. I think that'll kind of be lost in translation a little bit, but nonetheless, man, I'm still ready to go see Pete Alonso, all this talent we have on our team, the great defense that we're probably going to be playing. I don't know how we're going to do offensively because, again, DeGrom's on the mound, and we seem to leave him out there high and dry, but I'm excited, man, and then we got your Sox. Both of us are the top teams in the divisions in our respective divisions, so it's going to be a good matchup, I think.
Yeah, I mean, DeGrom's been crazy this season. I think
he's been going crazy.
7 or 29 innings, he's given up 1 earned run, which is
insane.
He's like reaching like Clemens, Pedro, like levels of peak at this point. Like it's been 3 years on where he's been clearly the best pitcher in baseball. Right. Nobody's come close. Like
a dominant streak.
Him. Like they've been saying all year, we need a new league. We need a league where like he and Trout just face each other like every 5 days. Like that's basically what we need. Like if the Mets scored runs for him, the Mets would it would be over. The record
be dominant. Yeah.
I mean, he's insane. It stinks that the Mets have kind of wasted some of his prime years, but it seems like they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
It should be a fun game Wednesday because the Red Sox are pretty good too.
I was gonna say, give me your thoughts on the Sox team because I thought
to most people. Well, they started the season out terribly. Like they really were bad, and
this is supposed to technically be a rebuild year of sorts, right?
I would say more of a bridge year than a rebuild.
A bridge year? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they meant to be as bad as they were last year, but I also don't think that they set out with the goal. I mean, like obviously your goal is to win the World Series. I just don't think like they were like. I don't think that was a realistic goal at the time. Yeah. And maybe it's not realistic now because it's still so early. We're only an eighth of the way through the season, so I'm not ready to be like they're winning the World Series. But they've been fun. They've been exciting. They're hitting the ball. They're pitching pretty well. Other than Garrett Richards, but and then you just gotta wait and see if he can get healthy again down the stretch, get some guys back, get Chris Sale back, and
showtime at Citi Field. All right, we got for our next segment here, we have Mad Bum pitching a no-hitter through 7, but it was not technically a no-hitter because it was a doubleheader. There was only 7. He only pitched for 7 innings. I don't necessarily disagree with the call because I feel like with the over the course of an MLB game, right? The closer it gets to closing out, obviously pitching a no-hitter through 7 is still a pretty impressive feat, but I feel like the closer you get to closing it out, the less likely it is that you're going to pitch the no-hitter, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So I don't necessarily hate the call to not really call it an official no-hitter and just have it kind of be almost like a half and half or like a storied kind of no-hitter. But, listen, I don't have anything else to say. Just the fact that, it's a shame that he couldn't have went on for 9. And funnily enough, I feel like this year early, we've seen a lot more no-hitters, or at least that I can remember, because I know, who was it that pitched, who are the two gentlemen that pitched no-hitters this year?
Oh, Carlos Rodon and Joe Musgrove.
Yeah. No, those are very entertaining. I kind of tune in and watch the highlights of those. But yeah, I mean, it's just very interesting that something like that occurred. But to the people that say that it's like, you got to give it to them. 7 innings, it's an incomplete game technically.
Well, no, technically it is a complete game because it counts.
The game itself counts, but I'm just talking about the fact that I don't know.
So I can see it both ways because you didn't give him the opportunity to go 9.
Right?
So, like, how can you rob him of a no hitter?
Okay, fair enough.
And like you're counting it as a complete game. Like when a pitcher pitches a 7 inning game this season, they do say it's a complete game. It goes down on the stat sheet as a complete game.
Okay.
So I can see why you'd call it a no hitter, but at the same time, I go back and forth on it. Me personally, I really don't care if you put it in the record book, no hitter or not, but. Like, there have been plenty of guys before that have gone more than 7 innings, like 8 innings, 9 innings. Like, people lose no hitters or perfect games in the 8th or 9th inning.
That's what I'm saying.
9th inning, all the time. I remember Pedro Martinez, like back in like the late 90s, he threw a no hitter through 9 innings, but the Red Sox didn't score any runs. So it went to the 10th, and he lost it on like a home run in the 10th inning, and he didn't get a no hitter because he didn't pitch a perfect game.
Yeah.
So it's like, or he didn't pitch a complete game.
All it takes is one pitch.
Right. And, so I go back and forth on it. If you want to give him a no-hitter in the record book, I'm not going to go protest.
Yeah, no.
But, like, at MLB headquarters. But at the same time, like, it wasn't 9. So you're always going to view it as kind of like a asterisk.
All righty. let's move on here. We've got the NFL draft. Let me hear your thoughts, Jerry, and then I want to kind of get into my thoughts on both the Jaguars and the Jets.
Well, Trevor Lawrence 1, Zach Wilson 2. It sounds like either Mac Jones or Trey Lance 3 to the Niners.
Yep.
To the Niners. I mean, it should be fun. It's this Thursday. I think all the big 5 quarterbacks between Lawrence, Wilson, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, and Trey Lance will all go in the top 10, which is cool. I think you're going to see some movement on draft night as well. I think the Patriots might move up. I think the Lions might move down. But it's fun. It's a fun class. Lots of quarterbacks. Lots
very
of offense,
talented and very diversified.
Yeah.
I think outside of the top 5.
Yeah, it's a lot of quarterbacks, wide receivers, Kyle Pitts, the tight end. It's not like a offensive lineman or like D lineman heavy draft, which is just. I mean, like it doesn't matter to like football people to like a fan, like. Yeah, it's kind of like, like, oh, yay, we drafted an offensive lineman in the first round. Unless your quarterback's getting like, destroyed, then you're like, finally, we got somebody in here.
Right.
But like, yeah, I mean, it should be fun. It's names that you recognize that are all going to go.
Of course,
in the top 10,
that's what I was saying. I don't watch that much college ball, but I could tell you most of I was taking a look at like the top 20, and more often than not, I understood and I recognized the name that was on the board. So I think it's going to be a fun draft class. I know we kind of have that little, at least we did last year. We went down and we watched the draft. That might've been the NBA draft, but I think we should make that, I think we should make that a thing going forward. We just watch the draft.
The NFL was over the quarantine, which by the way, they did a great job with that last year too. I got so excited.
Yeah. Having everyone set up and all the memes that came from that. Bill Belichick's dog.
You got Roger Goodell like turning around, like waving to his TV of fans that probably hate him. But I mean, it should be excited. They said that they're allowed to like hug and stuff because Goodell was vaccinated. Everybody's gonna be there, which is cool. Like last year was fun, but like the draft is an event, so like it's supposed to be like a big production because it's really not much of anything. Like you don't like you could just read tomorrow.
They add some spice to it.
But they have spice. to. Yeah, it's something interesting. You get your
they have the backstories of all the players.
Yeah, you get your quick dose of football because you've been kind of like craving it since the Super Bowl ended. So yeah, it should be fun. And there is to draft the next quarterback.
There is that kind of odd time where you just, if you're a football fan, you just don't have anything to kind of look towards, especially when the offseason is more quiet than not. But
especially when free agency comes down. So.
Right. Yeah. All righty. Moving on to the next topic here.
Towards the end here.
Oh yeah, we are, and we're doing terrific. We've got the European Super League. We want to kind of talk about this off the tail end. Most of the teams have pulled out after the fans were rightly upset. I don't know if it's because I'm an American. I'm just going to preface this by saying that. I don't know if it's because I'm American, but the idea of me, and I understand, the whole, that ruins the integrity of soccer, the monetary greediness from all of these teams and not really being in touch with the fans. I get all of that. Listen, but something about watching all of these just titans in the soccer world going up against each other once every week, or it's something like that midweek table. Yeah, that's very appealing to me, and I know it's because I was brought up in that American sports system. Yeah, where it's like we have relegation, no promotion. I understand that it's not the best thing in the world, but part of me is kind of like, I want to see what would happen. I also understand though that soccer is a sacred sport, and there's deep roots, like Leicester winning the league in, I think it was 2015, or something the Tranmere Rovers going way back. Winning the league and that in similar fashion. I mean, there's all these Cinderella stories, and that's part of what makes sports great. But I don't know, man. Tell me that wouldn't be a little bit attractive.
I liked it, and I got why all the soccer fans were like angry about like their tradition being stolen or whatever. But like at the same time, like I don't know, like I'm a casual fan. Like I don't really care to see like Barcelona beat up on like some like your local
Inter Milan or something.
You're like a local team. Like I don't know, like. I like seeing big names in college football. Like the whole aura of the college football playoff is that you get to see teams
the best of
like
best.
Alabama play against teams like Ohio State, whereas you don't get to see that during the regular season. So like it's pretty cool. I could see. I mean, like let's be honest, it was definitely a money grab.
Oh, 100%,
1,000% money grab.
And the criteria that I think a lot of people took issue with is the fact that these teams weren't really even, obviously you see your Liverpools and your Manchester Cities and your Manchester Uniteds, and those are, very talented teams. Right. But it wasn't the best. It was simply just the biggest ones that generated the most amount of money for the sport.
Of course. But so, again, it was a money grab. And, it doesn't shock me that John Henry, the owner of Liverpool / Red Sox, was trying to get in on this money because that's basically like what he's been doing lately. But like, Yeah, it was a money grab, but it would have been intriguing. I would have enjoyed it as a
100%.
casual fan as you could be. But yeah, I mean, I can
It's
see
because
why
I
it's
watch
stopped,
fight
too.
sports too. That's why I like it so much. All right, we got our final little segment here today. It is the Oscars. So we're throwing off course here. We were kind of talking about this last night. We wanted to go over it, not because we're gonna watch it, just specifically because we you know, most of the projects that I watched outside of I've heard of Judas and the Black Messiah. I know Soul got a
Animation.
and what, you know, besides that, you were reading me off the categories in the films last night. I said I don't know any of these films.
No, I don't know any of these movies.
It's
These are none of the best movies.
Yeah, and I think it's indicative of just more of the year that we've had with, you know, or I guess the stretch of Corona that we've had. It's kind of hard to get big projects out, and obviously there have been, but most of them go on now HBO Max, I feel like. So, you know, I don't necessarily fault. These films could be brilliant. I don't know, but it gave me a more indie type of vibe this year, more so than other years. So I can't really strike. I can't give the Oscars a strike for not having the best selection. I guess for me being a surface level movie watcher, you know, that appeals to me. But you know, it was still funny when we were kind of watching it, being like who is this? Like, is that a, you know, foreign term? I don't know. Like, what word is that? You know, it's, you know, it was very hilarious.
I get yelled at by my friends that actually watch movies a lot because I say that the Oscars never give the best picture to the movie that was actually the best picture of the year. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, I can't remember what movie it won, but I was like, I mean, that's the point. I can't remember what movie won like a couple of years ago, but I was like, yeah, no way that movie is better than Avengers Endgame. Like, I refuse to believe it. Like, it's not. So, like, you know, and like I think like Adam Driver was in like a Best Picture nominee last year.
He's a fantastic
yeah, I mean, like,
actor.
if you asked him which movie was better, Star Wars or whatever movie he was in, like, he's gonna say Star Wars,
Marriage Story, right?
Something like that. Yeah, it was some Netflix movie. Who cares?
That was actually pretty good.
Like Netflix movies being offered up. Like I've watched Netflix movies. They're not that great.
Nah, not the best catalog.
Yeah, it's kind of like foolish, but yeah, I mean, like I didn't see any movies. I think we only put this segment on here because we kind of just want to make fun of it. Oh, also though, people were angry that I don't know who won Best Actor, but Chadwick Boseman didn't. So people
you got to give him one. You got to give him one. I mean, he was a terrific actor.
Shocked. People said that was the only real shocker of the night.
Yeah, I did. I think Daniel Kaluuya got at the very least a nod, but he's a terrific actor as well.
Yeah.
I really liked him, and you know, I got to still watch Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah, the Oscars are kind of like dumb.
Yeah.
So I feel like we just put this on there because it was relevant. We wanted to make fun of it, but please don't get mad at us if you like movies or the Oscars.
All right. I let that alarm go a little bit since, you know, we just did an entire 30 minutes.
I mean, like, that was like 30 minutes straight of pure
adrenaline
takes,
just off the dome. I think it was fun. We got to do this more often. But we do have a little bit of time now to just kind of close out the show, give our thoughts, kind of update the people, what's been going on. You know, just with life, I guess. I mean, you know, we don't have to do anything crazy.
I think we only get a couple of these left. I mean, we've only done 2 so far. One of them was over Zoom. So and
the year's closing out too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I think we only get like maybe like 2 of these left. But we'll
be back in the stewed. We're gonna do. I think we'll do the same format next time. It worked out well.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
It was very fun. Very fun. All right. Well, with that, we don't have anything else to say? Or
no, I mean, thanks for listening. Hopefully you can hear us. Hopefully the show won't go to waste because we kind
of had to tack this together.
Yeah. Hopefully you can hear us. So
but without further ado, that has been the episode for today. It is the 26th of April, 2021. Pass me to rock. Thank you so much for listening. I've been your host, Jacob Cooperman.
And I'm Jerry Sullivan.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.